Good morning, I'm Stacey J and this is my studio, and I'm following on from yesterday's sewing the Francesca blouse. Yesterday we covered taking off the pattern pieces, marking the darts, putting on the interfacing, and I left you overlocking the pieces so that that's all prepped and good to go. So I'm going to read through the instructions now, okay, and take you through the bullet points of what we're doing, and then we're going to go from there. Right, so I'm going to try and hold it up high as I can so I don't look like this. Okay, so construction, body and frill. Sew the front darts together, back and front. Oh, we did that yesterday as well, so check. 2, with the right sides together, sew the front and the back shoulder seams together, press the seams to the back and neaten with an overlock serge. Now, I'm not one for doing that. I'm one for having open seams. I like that better, and I will be doing it that way. It's the way I like to do it. If you would like, you can overlock, and all you'll do is overlock the double overlocking that you've already got. So I just got a text from somebody who's excited. Their son's getting married. Right, and seam that so you have it pushing to the back, okay? If you had it facing to the front, it actually puts the bulk there, okay, and it's not as tidy as if, as I said to you yesterday with the darts go to the center back. So pretty much everything, every seam should, unless it's an open seam, if it's a closed seam, should tend and blow towards the back, okay? So darts under your bust, go to your back. All right, so that's just a little rule of thumb that happens with 90% of patterns, okay? Then you have one creature that comes out and just blows that all out the water. So that's just the, yeah, for young players. Right, with the right side, right. Sew and stay stitch around the neckline. Now, we've done that. That's one of the first things I take off the table is my stay stitching around necklines, because you don't want that moving. So before I do anything, I usually have my stay stitching ironed on, or if you're going to sew yours on, make sure you sew your stay stitching around the edge within the seam allowance and a small stitch. Okay, the smaller the stitch, the less stretch it can have. Okay. Right, with the right sides facing, sew the centre back seams off the neck ruffle. Now I've got 2 neck ruffles. I haven't sewn my centre back seam, and I have not overlocked any of it because I ain't gonna. So this is going to be sewn together. I've already marked it. Well, I've already marked it, and that will be folded in half, and it will be double that. Okay, and why I not overlocking this edge is it's going to be inside that actual ruffle, and if it is overlocked, it's given a level, like overlocking has got, well, I use 3, okay, because my stay stitch is my sewing machine, and I use 3 when I make wovens, because I do, because I can. And I use the inside needle. I don't use the outside needle. So it's got a small bite rather than a bigger bite. Okay. So if you got your 3 or your 4 threads on your overlocker, you that will sit inside that seam in the back. So that will thicken that whole seam itself. So I just sew there, and it's inside, tucked away. Nobody's going to see it. It won't fray. It's inside the stitching. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 of those because I have told you that I'm going to actually gather one, and I'm going to pleat the other. I like a challenge. Normally I'd do things like that on my own, but I'm going to do it with you guys. And if I really fluff it, you ain't going to see it, just saying. Okay, so after we've done the frill around the neck, so that is number 6. So the large gathering stitches on the outer raw edge of the neck ruffle. Gather the neck ruffle to match the neck measurements. There's a little line in your center front, then there's a line. You want that to go from that around to that one. Okay. Listen to me whistle. It actually made it sound like I knew what I was whistling. With the right sides together, pin the neck ruffle to the neckline and start the center front notch and matching shoulder notches. Once in place, sew together. Now remember, we moved the center notches, the shoulder notches. Well, I did. I moved them because I got that little nobule that sits forward. And once in place, sew together. Right, fuse front and back interfacing pieces. Do that right at the start. It's sitting there waiting. Okay. With the right sides facing, sew the neck and the back shoulders from the facings. So here's my front, here's my back. Pin those together. Bada bing, bada boom. So it comes out like that. Okay, I'll just fold it like that because it's in the thing. But I've already got my facing on there. No, I don't. I've already got my interfacing on there. Right. Neaten the inner edge of fabric with overlocking serger. We've done that. So we're not putting the whole thing. If we say you're not exactly, and you will be, but say you're not exactly happy or you're a bit scared of your overlocker that it can eat fabric. Remember that time Chris used it. Then if you overlock them separately and it eats a bit of that, it's only going to eat one piece of it. Okay, it's not going to eat the whole piece. That made sense in my mind. Hopefully it made sense to you. Okay, with right sides facing, pin the facing pieces to the body neckline, sandwiching the ruffle between the body and facings. Okay, easy peasy. Once in place, sew together around the neckline and continue down the center front. So basically you're attaching your ruffle, or you're hiding the ruffle seam, and you are attaching your facings. And then you are going to understitch. Love the understitch. The understitch keeps it real and keeps it rolling the right way. You're going to also nip and tuck, but we'll be doing that together. Okay, 13. Press the seam allowances towards the facing pieces. Turn to the correct side of the fabric and understitch around the neckline on the side facings, stopping at the end of the ruffle. Understitching the front facings, starting from the hem and continuously up as far as possible. So basically it's telling you to understitch right around to the end of the ruffle, which would sit about here. Yeah, about here I think it is. And then it's start from the bottom going up, because it's an easier way to get that understitching done. And you go up as far as you can. Oh, that picture looks funny. Okay, right. With right sides facing, sew the front hem facing to the hem and clip the corners. We'll be doing that together. Neaten the hem off the shirt with an overlocker serger and turn up the hem of the body and top stitch. So they're doing all that before we do the sleeves. Sleeves and cuffs. I'll read that out when we get to it. 10. Oi! Excuse me one moment. The girls are talking. So there was nothing there, but they're outside now. So I think like heading up the whole of New Zealand, I have the door open while they're outside. Okay, so that's what we're going to start with. We're going to go back to square one. Well, we've actually passed a couple of these. And we're going to start making our Francesca. Nice and easy. Welcome to anyone that has just joined in on the Francesca shirt, woven shirt it's called. I just call it the Francesca blouse. Anyway, we are going to get to it. I have overlocked everything. I've got my front and back pieces together, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put right sides together. I'll turn you down so you can see. I'm going to put the right sides of the front and back. Okay, so front and back. I've already done the stay stitching around the neckline there. And like, I'll just repeat again why we do that. In case you didn't watch yesterday's, we do that because it's cut actually on the bias in this area, and it does a fantastic stretch if you pull it, and you don't want the front of your blouse stretched out. Okay, they're barking at leaves. I can't stop that. The leaves have invaded their territory, apparently. Beautiful orange leaves. Orange. Okay, so what I'm just trying to do is get now we've got a 1 centimeter seam allowance. So I've got that jutted over, so that's about there. So you've got a bit of an overlap. So when it opens, it actually sits flat. So you don't actually match the shoulders, like from that tip to that tip to that tip there, because then you have a gap. Okay. Sits nice and into place there. Okay, now I haven't put my pattern pieces away because I will remark the I'm going to remark the center front where I want the frill to stop, only because I ironed a bit off on one side. Well, that's a big pin, goodness gracious. Okay, so I know that my mum won't watch this tonight, I don't think she's watched the other one, which is okay. I'm not fussed about that. But there is a surprise coming for her tonight, and she knows nothing about it. And it's going to surprise her, and she's going to be a mixed emotions of the surprise. All right. There we go. So we're going to go and sew that. Okay, with right sides facing, sew the front and back. So right sides facing, shoulder seams together, and I'm going to open that seam. The next one I'm going to do is I'm going to do the side seams, which is number 4, which is number 3 with the right sides facing, so the front and back side seams together. So I'm going to do that all in one hit. Why do we do it all in one hit? Because that means we go to the iron once. Okay, it's yep, get your steps up if you want, but it's about doing it smarter. Now my front is that little bit longer than my back because I did that whole sway back, and I did the whole extra in the front. Okay, so that is a little bit off, but I'm not going to stretch it to make the sides fit it, because that will actually buckle my fabric. It's just a realization that it didn't come to the end of it. So I'll just trim that little bit off. It's like about 4 millimeters. No problem. I always seem to have that when I do those two things. Yes, it is a science, but Stacey's not good at science. So I just know that it should work from the top down. And this side together. Did you know that Louis, King Louis the 14th, was the person who made Paris be the fashion central of the world? The fashion capital, I should say, of the world. And he was also the one who introduced in the summer and winter changes in the clothing. Way back then. I read about that in my book. I'm not that clever to know it. So the good thing about this is they're both uneven. Woohoo! Gotta love that. Okay, so I'm going to sew my shoulders and sew my sides. Remember, 1 centimeter seam allowance. Let's get to it. Hopefully for you guys, the sun isn't too dramatically in your eyeballs. I'll just drop this down while we're here. One, so you don't have so much of a cleavage shot, I just noticed. But let's get that down. Right. My stitch length is 2.5. It's really hard to tell on this massive machine anyway. 2.5, 1 centimetre seam allowance. Back tack. I'm going to prick my wrist if I don't get my pin cushion. Right, let's go. At the ironing board, we are going to... I've got such a cluster of stuff everywhere, man. Okay, so I like this long one for my seams, and then I've got my clapper here that my father built me. Built it, made it, you know. Okay, so I like my open seams. I like open seams. Apparently you don't do that on quilting, because I was giving blood one time and I was showing the first quilt I'd ever made, which was for a friend's daughter. And she said, oh, you sew clothes normally, don't you? And I said, yes. I mean, I literally did not know this lady. Just started chatting, as you do while you're waiting to give blood. And I said, yeah, how do you know that? She said, because you opened your seams up. I said, what do you normally do? She said, you push them to one side. And there you go. I learned something in the blood place. Always willing to learn. Always willing to learn. I'm just going to get a pair of scissors and trim my little bits off. Oops, I sewed that one. Right. Open the seam up nicely. This is such a beautiful, this is Japanese cotton. It's such a beautiful cotton to work with. So you know how I said about it matching? So look how much that seam allowance, tips over, but that rolls beautifully and smooth, okay? It's like making a bias binding. You don't sew it at the ends, otherwise you'll have a great big dip. You have to basically drop it in the seam allowance away. That makes it nice and there we go, that's better. Sorry guys. Obviously I haven't found the gadget I want yet to do my filming on. I've bought everything in the world so far and not happy with anything. Angela Wolf has beautiful cameras everywhere, which really really awesome to sit, look at, see with video, film something. Okay, so last one here. I've done the two shoulders, done one side, doing the last side. Now I don't need the clapper for this because it's just opening the seam. Ouch! And I will, the beautiful steam out of this machine, out of this iron. And I just flip it over because sometimes you get that little jagger. Not a mick, but a jagger. Right. Nice, and just iron it one more time. It's nice and flat. You can't even see the seam. It's really such beautiful. It's a bit thin, I might say. Like I can the other one I made the fern bird in this, and yeah, I double lined that, remember, so that, because I felt it was a little bit thin, so I didn't do facings, I just did a whole thingamajiggy, whole new panel, and that became its facing. Oops. Right. There we go. They are together. Now I believe the sewing off the, what's that thing called? The frill is next. So yep, so that's what we've done. We've done front and back sewn, side seam sewn. So number 4 was to do the stay stitch, which I asked you guys to do yesterday. And number 5 is right sides together, so the centre back seam off the neckline, ruffle, and then we're going to open that seam, and then we're going to fold it in half, and then we're going to get the gathering stitch around the raw edges of it. So I'm going to do 2, iron them both, and fold them both in half. Okay, so that is stage, I just want to do it so that I can do the chapters. Okay, so that is 5 and 6. Right, 1 centimetre seam allowance under the needle, break the 4th. This will be a nice quick little and that, see the shoulder seams are there, the little markers are there, that's split there. You know, I think I can't see stuff and then I look at it when I'm editing. I went, oh, really can see that. Okay, so that is how it's going to be. Then I'm going to fold it in half, make sure those match, and then I'm going to do my gathering stitch around the bottom. So I'll just do the second one here. I'll go to the iron. I'll be a good girl and I'll iron it, even though my nails iron it really well. Okay, I'll be back with the ironed product in a second. I'm going to bring you here because, well, just want to, don't forget this is cut on the bias. Okay, so you don't want to be rough with it yet. Ruffle, get it? Ruffle with it yet? No. Okay, I'm back. That crazy person just left. No, the crazy person hasn't left. They just hide in the background and jump out when they want to. Okay, so all the way up. So anyway, this person, there's a person who's going to surprise my mum. There's my brother. And I've known for a little bit too long. I have managed not to mess it up. Well, it's very easy. I just don't talk about it. Well, I do talk about them. I just don't talk about them to make it me stuff it up. But there is, yeah. So he's currently down in Queenstown with his daughter. His daughter moved to New Zealand. Apparently she likes the cooler weather. Crazy. Being as she's a Brisbaneite. And, yeah, they live in Queenstown, which is like the holiday capital of New Zealand. I don't care who you are, it is. Like when we were locked down and you couldn't leave the country and you were finally, sorry, out of lockdown, but country lockdown, you know, everybody holidayed down in Queenstown. Everybody went there. It was like surfers paradise. It was like, I don't even know where in London. It was like New York City. I've been to New York. I love New York. I love Washington the best though. I went to the White House. Just the, you know, the regular tour. I bet you no one knows what movie that's from. It's one of my favourite movies. Favourite movies. I've just been on the regular tour. Okay, so that's one of my ruffles. Okay, and then there's this one. I'm going to tell you more about Louis the 14th. I just need to read it from my book. You don't think I just know that stuff, eh? I read it. I thought, oh, I should tell you guys why it's a summer and a winter scenario with clothing fashions. He bought in colourful clothing. Here's the right fashionado, is that a word? He was that dude. Okay, remember I'm making 2 of these in case you just jump to the ruffles. I am making 2 of these because I'm going to make one, and it has been brought up to me by a one of my lovelies that pleating it. Seriously, those dogs are crazy. I left the door open. I'm still warming up New Zealand. Sorry, Mr. Christopher. Keeps the fresh air flowing in here, I guess, which is nice. Okay, so I'm not ironing it. I'm pressing it because I don't want it stretched. Okay, and I'm being quite gentle with it. It's manipulating me a bit at the minute, making me be gentle. Okay, so when I do the chapters in this, I'm literally going to do it as per the instructions, okay? And I'll write the title of it. I did get brought up to me that I have a habit of saying, hydrate, and then everyone thinks, okay, she's gone, you know. Sometimes you've got to stay and watch the end of the movie to see if there's outtakes. You know those movies, I gotta love those movies. Anyway, yes, I just check the description and see if I've added it. If it's big, if it's seriously, if I go over 30 minutes, I'd like to have a tendency, unless it's a roll-on continuous of one thing, like my sit-down Sundays, if I talk for 40 minutes, then I'm not chapterizing that. That's just me chatting, so there's no way to just jump into the conversation here. So if I do more than half an hour, 40 minutes, then I usually chapterize it for you guys so you can jump into places. Just check the chapters. Yeah, I know, I'm bad. But I will endeavour to say, but wait, there's more. Okay, or hey, wait for the steak knives. I'll do something stupid. You know me, I won't be a normal person. But, okay, so the next step now is to make 2 gathering stitches. Now, I only need one of my thingos. So I got one. I only need one of my ruffles because the other one's going to be pleated. Now, I'm trying to think of the easiest way for you guys, for me to pleat it. Now, I think, and I believe, oops, shivers, sorry. I believe I can fly. I believe that if I make the gathering one the length I want it, and then tutu with the tutu is just play around with the, I thought I had a hole in my ruffle. I don't, but I thought I did. Okay, so now we're going to gather. Attaboys. So gathering is something that we either hate or we love, or we just deal with it. Okay, I just deal with it. I don't hate it, don't love it, but I don't hate it. When you gather, you put, and I know half of you know how to do this, so I'm just putting it out there for anyone that's quite newbie. Gathering is done on the largest stitch. I don't do the largest stitch because I feel the largest stitch sometimes is too loose. So when I get to the point of where I want it to hold, it doesn't hold because the stitch is so big it just flops back out. Okay, so I do it probably more of a 3.5, 3.75 stitch length, or 3.75, yeah, something like that. I don't do it on a 4. Okay, and you don't start, it depends on what you're doing. If I'm doing, like when I was doing the Fernbird, I broke my gathering into 4, right? So I could gather evenly around the whole thing. But what I do, and everyone says, oh, change your thread so you can see your gathering stitch. Your gathering stitch, the one you actually pull is your bobbin thread. That's the one you actually slice through and you pull. That's the looser of the two. I don't change my top thread. I changed my bobbin thread, okay, and the bobbin thread is then when you've got the two long gathering threads to pull, and they're both the same colour, so you say do two in yellow, which yellow one do you pull? So I changed my bobbin thread. I'm going to put a red in there, a red for bobbin thread. Okay, I'll pop that in. I'll pop me up to 3 3/4, and normally you do your gathering inside your seam allowance. I'm going to do one inside my seam allowance and one outside my seam allowance. And why I'm going to do that is when the two are gathered, if you have gathering all one end and it's all puckered like a gathering, then you can squash that gathering. So if you have the one inside and the one outside the seam allowance, it can form a little tube, okay, and it sits flatter. God, I hope it makes sense sometimes. So I'm going to do one at about 5 millimeters, okay, which just happens to be my foot width, and I'm going to do the other. Now mine is only actually, no, I'm just going to do it. I had a thought. I'm just going to pull out my bottom thread, okay, which I don't normally do when I sew, and that's nice and firm. Right, made it nice and long. Put my needle down. Now we do not back tack. I'm not telling you off, I'm just telling you. So I got my hair cut this morning. I don't think Chris has watched. Oh, that hasn't pulled up at all. What is that doing? Arse. Okay. Okay. And I'm back. Right. So I've just got my foot distance apart from the seam allowance. So it's inside my 1 centimetre. So I've got 5 mils. You don't have to be overly retentive as long as it's inside the seam allowance. The other shoulder. Centre back's just been hit. And right, come off there, right off the end, lift up and just hold the ends when you pull it and pull that thread out nice and long. Grab your snippers. I haven't got my snippers, obviously. I've got my little ducks. And the next one, I'm going to drop out to 1.5 seam allowance. Okay, so there's my 1, there's my 1.5. And that should work. No, we'll find out whether I should have done it all inside, but we'll see. Last one shoulder, coming up to the centre back. So go a long way to ruffle. All right. back out. Right, coolio. So what I'll do right now is, while I'm here, I'll change my bobbins back, because sometimes I forget I have a different bobbin in there, and next minute I have red bobbin on the bottom, or yellow, or whatever colour I pick that's different to the top colour. Yep, change my stitch back down, and beautiful. Add my back tacking on. Okay, so now we're going to gather. I gather that's correct. Boom. Yep, crazy lady's back in the house. So like I said, I changed my bobbin to red. So my bobbin is the thread I'm going to pull together. And I'm going to work basically 1/2. I've got the centre back to tell me when to stop working this half. And then I'll pin the centre back where I want it to go and manipulate the gathers to the shoulders, and then manipulate the gathers to the front, centre front. Okay, so gathering. And gathering. So now I've gathered it all. Don't you just wish gathering's that fast? I just had a quick look at it to make sure I hadn't forgotten to hit record. Right, so we're going to start from the centre back. Why I'm starting from the centre back is because we have, you know, when you put curtains on, they need to be, you put the hooks on and you want them to all match and all that sort of stuff. And you start from the centre, because you can put it and ease it differently. So I'm just going to chalk up this. This is the one that I used the thingo pen for. Okay, so the tips of my frill are to go, and I'm just going to put the pointy line here. I'll actually make sure it goes the other side, because remember, the other side is the side we're putting it on the right side, so it's got to go on the right side, and we need to be able to see it, like I did with those mental dart things on the sleeve. Right, I'm just putting my line on the other side at the minute. It's just I got it on the inside, so I'm just doing the line up. There we go. So basically it's got to go all around the back. So we've got 5. We've got 5 different markers of where it's meant to go. It's meant to go from that end, hit the shoulders, centre back, shoulders to there. So the first thing we're going to do is going to take the little funky monkey, and we're going to pin it right there in the centre, because we can ease out so the centre's in line. Then the next one, I've put little pins where my little shoulders are. So with that, we need to stretch it because it's not going all the way. I want to get you guys down closer to my hands. It's really stupid, Stacey, making a dark blue top. Okay, it's going. It's getting there. It's getting there. Crumpling up the instructions and the pattern. Okay, there's our seam. I'll put a little white line there so you guys can see that. Here's my seam, my shoulder seam. And here is the shoulder seam, and I'll put that on this side there. Take that pin out. So we want to match that to there. So we've got to stretch it out a bit. Get rid of some of these ruffles, which is good. That's cool. It's better to have more than having to spend another half hour trying to baste it out. But we know that that goes on there. So there's still too many ruffles. Right, that goes on there. Still too many ruffles. So I'm just going to pin it down the bottom here. Okay, and just sort of ease this out so that that line can line up there. There we go. So now I've got that, and I can pin that right on that seam. And I can now even these little ruffles out. See how it's bunched there and not anywhere else? So, okay. Now this is a bit bigger because I didn't pull the inside thread of this one thready enough. I had a bit of a fiddle but couldn't get there. I'm just going to pin along here to hold that. So when I stitch this on, now normally if I was making this myself, I wouldn't stitch this on until I got the facing ready to go, because that again is a time thing. So now this is meant to get down to there, down to that line there. Okay, so you can put it there. Now don't forget we're going to lose. Right, so this okay, so this point itself gets down to there, whereas so that goes to there. The end of that goes to that part there. I'm just going to put this pin in here. So that means when it's folded back, because this is the center front, fold goes there, center front's there, so there is a gap between what will come down 1 centimeter down there. Okay, so that is almost a good match. I'm just going to unbunch this a little bit. As it goes, the frill is obviously frillier at the front than it is at the back. And just a little bit more of a relax coming out. Yep. Just put a little pin in here because I think that looks quite nice, that gathering. Oh, look at that. Nice and sits nice. Now imagine if that stretched out, how that wouldn't sit nice. I can't stretch that, just saying. See, and when I said about the gathering with the two either side, I'm going to go down those tubes there so it won't squash the pleat. You don't want to squash the pleat. Don't ask where the heck that voice came from, but anyway. I'll go a little bit more into this. Now that I've got that there, I'll pin it like this because I actually want to squash out these a bit more. Spread out, not squash out. Okay. Nice. And that's there. That's all one side. That's going to sit like that. Pretty. Okay, again, here is my my little notch is up in there. That's my notch. Okay, I'm going to put a little line there. Take out my pin because that will stab me. My notch I need to get to there. So let's spread this little puppy out. Oh, I'm just pulling the other side. Stay. Don't do that. So we'll just ease it out this way. A bit more down here. A little bit more. Yeah, so my brother's coming to surprise Mum. I don't know. Yeah. He gets in not late, but you know, like Mum would have eaten by the time he got there, and I don't know. I'll let you guys know how that little ceremony went. So he's down in Queenstown. He's done the jet boating. We did that back in 91 when we came and toured both islands. My brother was living in Brisbane and I was living in Sydney, and my nana was turning 70. And we flew over. That was a surprise for her. I'm unlucky that she didn't have an attack on the spot. Almost blew it. I was on the phone to her on her birthday, which was the day we landed. And she was having a wee party on the Saturday. Quite a big party, actually. And I wished her a happy birthday. I was in Sydney and I was flying out that day. And I said, oh, Brad's coming over to pick up the cat. And she said, why is Bradley picking up the cat? And I said, because I'm going out bush, because I was in the Air Force. I said, I'm going out bush. It's going to be really cold, blah, blah, blah. And she actually felt so sorry for me because I was going out in the field. And it was like winter, because it was like the 22nd of May. It was so funny. I almost blew it, but Stacey's a quick thinker. Came up with a little white lie. And then I had to wait at the airport for my brother to land, I think it was. Because one of the flights was late. And they kept saying, where is he? Because they were going to go to the restaurant. And we were sort of going to walk in and get changed and go to the restaurant. So everybody was like panicking. And oops, I think I made this side a bit too big. Okay, I just need to gather this a bit more. Yeah, so that was a fun occasion. That was many, many years ago. God, too many years ago. So that's my mum's mum. Okay, now let's see what I've done there. So that goes right on the tip. So I've got the other one on the tip. So I'm going to pin that there. I'm just going to not pin it on the thread because I don't want it to lock in case I need to stretch it out. There we go. Right, that looks like it's comfortable. Pinning that nicely in place just to make it good. And make sure that you are matching, because don't forget I've done half a seam and 1.5 seam allowance with the gathering, and I sort of definitely want to make it miss the threads. Right, so let's have a look at our fronts. I'll try and flick the back away. So there, spot on. But now I'll pin that properly. Ugh. There we go. We shall now, so what we're going to do for the second one is we've got our pleating, remember? So if we pin our center, oh, this is how good it is. I could hardly see the center seam. So we've got the center here. I'll use big yellow pins for this. So I'll pop in the center. And we've got, this goes to the point. When I say that, I'll make sure that that's right up the top. So go to the point. Okay, and I won't worry too much about this piece until it is 1.5 centimeters, 1 centimeter in. Because 1 centimeter, I'll start caring about there, because that will all be inside the facing. Does it make sense? So because our seam allowance is 1 centimetre, it's not going to start sewing until here. Okay, so all this part will disappear. That's why I thought it would be 1 centimetre in, or, you know, the depth of that. But it doesn't say that. It does not. Okay, I can't do that one. I'll put the red one here because that one's too big for me to hold that. Right. I'm going to stop and go. All right. So the centre, if we're pleating, I would have the pleats going down towards the front. Yeah, I was going to use yellow. You still want the shoulders on the shoulders, which is here. So you could have a pleat there. You could do some smaller pleats. Shoulder on the shoulder, smaller pleat. Because there wasn't much in the top. Right, so shoulder there, pleat. Okay, there's 3 little pleats, and then I'll just pin this into place with this one. Okay, and then you'd start your pleating again. You just do little pleats. There's a mathematical way you could do it, but I think you just make it fit. My math teacher wouldn't be happy. Had an argument with my math teacher. He said to me, because being dyslexic, it's really hard to read while someone's talking to you. And he came in, he was really angry one day, and he came in and he, somebody was late, or we were late, or we were noisy while we were waiting for him, or something. I don't know what it was, but he had a hissy fit about the whole thing. And he said we had to read these chapters and that, and he starts ranting and raving about this and that. I mean, maths, it's maths. You don't read a maths, you do maths. And I asked him to be quiet. I said, I can't read while you're talking to us. Made me stand up. Did not like that man. I was good at maths, I just didn't like him. Okay, so we'll spread them out a little bit now because we're getting to the tip. Well, here I am off screen. Stage right. Oh, I've just pulled a pin out from somewhere. Okay, and one more there. And that's how I would do the pleats in it. I would put it down on top of my fabric. See, it's just got little pleats in it instead. And then we'll do the other side, and then you can take off your main parts where I pinned it, and then I would press it. That's what I would do. Okay, so that's what you'd want to do if you were doing the dart, the pleat things, right? So you just sort of get a gauge. Okay, we've got one about there, and this one now would go to the other side. Okay, because that way you got the pleats going the one way. What are your thoughts on the pleats? We want to get that one on. Where's our shoulder? There it is, right there. So put that there. I'll pin that on there. So to be honest, it's just as much manipulating, unless of course you are going to do the math side of it, or do not even in the comments please ask me to do the maths. I don't know it. If I was making this collar, I would have cuts in my collar to show where the dart would be. Okay, but this is meant to be a gathered. Actually, it's gathered as per the designer's idea. So this is how I do it. You want to know how I do it? This how I do it. Again, don't ask me. Don't ask me. So I'll stick the little pin in there. Oh, so many layers. Layer upon layer. All right. And then I'll just keep going down, because now it's just a case of getting rid of fabric, but you don't want to get rid of too much too soon, otherwise you'll run out of little pleats. You can, if you wanted, count from your shoulder down to make sure you got the same amount, but if somebody's coming around your neck and counting your frills or your pleats, game person, very game person. Okay. So yes, so I had a stand-up argument. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you. I had a stand-up argument with my maths teacher, and one of the things he said to me was, so I said something about maths and why and blah, blah, blah. And he said, do you think you're going to be walking around with a calculator in your back pocket? Well, if I could see the future, I would have turned around to him and said, yes, sir, I do believe I will. Because I do. It's called my mobile phone. It actually even tells me, I have an app that tells me discounts. So if I go into a shop and the discount's 35%, it's a really weird discount, but anyway, 35%, I can put how much the item was, the 35%, and how much it's going to cost me. Sir, will I have a calculator in my pocket? Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Nah. Na 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 na. So that's my claim to fame, is with my maths teacher. Right. So there you go. These your pleats versus your gathers. So I would take that off. I'm just going to take that off here. I don't know why I got that, because that's obviously in the center. I do have another attachment here, which is the red one. That's my shoulder seam, and that's attached there. So I'll take that off. Don't need that one, and because that is the end, and I know it's the end. That one's the end there, and this one's attached to my shoulder seam. Right, let's just put this aside for a second. So there you go. Don't know how even I am. Not even. Right, so that's gonna sit and go right. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the shoulder seams. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. One too many on one side, or one too less on the other side. So then I could manipulate it and get it to work. But I don't think I did too badly for just winging it. So I'll keep this, and I'll keep that pleated, because I might make myself another another out of the same fabric, maybe. Who knows? But I've got my collar. I should go and pleat it and iron it and sew it, shouldn't I? But that's what it's going to look like. Less the bling. Okay. And that's how I would actually just do that. I would actually make sure they're even on both sides, but you get my point. I'm just going to iron it. So I know. Just now you guys have got me all stirred up to want to iron it. I blame you guys. Is that all right? Can I blame you? So, and again, don't forget it's still on the bias, and I just go like this. Look at that. There you go. It's even. Just one pleat too many in the other. So I've got a small pleat in the one side or an extra large pleat in the other side. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, as per the instructions, is I'm going to sew on the ruffle to the shirt. So now we're going to actually pop on and sew on the said ruffle. Okay, let's go down. I've just started a little bit and went, oh, I should be videoing this. So funny. Not. So sewing up the I'm just shy of 1 centimeter because I want to make sure that I can miss the seam, the seam that I make doing this. So when I do the actual facing, which is going to be attached to this side of it, it's going to squish it. Remember, I read that out. Squish it in between, and see how that stays straight and doesn't get as paku. Okay, all the way through. I have got, make sure yep, that looks pretty. I've got another hour-ish to keep sewing. Then I've got to take Victoria to an appointment over the other side of Upper Hutt. Threads everywhere. Okay, there's centre back, there's centre back. Just coming up to our first shoulder. Don't do what I was just about to do and sew up crazy. You know how I changed the ruffle and moved the shoulder seams towards the front? Actually, no, I'm glad I did, because maybe I should have moved it 2 centimeters, because it's quite thinner at the back than it is at the front. Remember, I took 1 centimeter off the front to allow for my little forward knobby thing. That's the technical word, okay? The technical term is forward knobby thing. Right, so please don't hesitate to use that. And oh, my daughter's singing. I wonder if she realizes that she's going to be heard. Okay, I'm just going to stretch that bit out. That was that side that I did a bit of fuffle, so sewing straight over that. Just squashed it down. A beautiful voice, my daughter. Trying to get her to play an original for my intro so that I don't have to worry about the copyright changing. How can you not copyright it and then all of a sudden copyright it? Make sure your little folds are up. Mr. Christopher's home. The dogs are barking. How many of your dogs just got set off then by... That's them. Oh, here he comes.
Stay. Hi.
Hi. So he's going to put his face in it and pull a face. It is all... I stopped him, don't worry. I think he's a little bit disappointed, but c'est la vie. Okay. Coming to the end. Coming to the end. Reaching the end. I want to just get my little pin and help me. Yeah. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. So that is on. See, look at that. Just like that. No pins. All gone. So now I'm going to remove the... am I going to remove it? No, because I'm going to sew over the top of it again. Okay, so now we're going to get the facing. Here's facing I prepared a little earlier. Front to back, back to front. So don't forget what I said about that 1 centimeter. Okay, you can really see it with the black on it. There's going to be, that's my 1 centimeter, so it's going to start there. And, well, that's not lined up, but it'll do the same and it'll finish at the, just before it cuts out. Right, put a pin there. Slide that up, put a pin there. Bit of fluff. That's been the first thing I overlooked after I did the kid stuff. Crazy. Crazy Mr. Christopher's getting some piping to take to his job. I don't know what job he's doing. I know what job he's doing at 5:45, picking up my brother from the airport. Whoop! He just about blew the cover that Danny's coming, because don't want the kids to know, because they're great at keeping secrets. Right, down we go. 1 centimeter seam allowance. And the other 1 centimeter seam allowance. again, that will be opened. It's probably going to tell you to, that goes open like that, but it sits smooth around the edge there, and it sits smooth around the edge there. Okay, and that's why you do that 1 centimetre angle scummy thingamajiggy when it angles scummies and thingamajigs. Right, so because I'm naughty, I'm not going to iron it. Right, so first thing I want to do is add the seam to the seam. Okay. Oh God, they're crazy, those two. Victoria has no idea I'm recording. Into there, I want to go into the seam allowance there. Come through, little one. There we go. And then we back up through the seam. Normally I can see the seam on that side, but I can't. Up through the seam there. Oh, this is going to be crazy. Normally I can see a seam. Oh. Seam there. Put it through here. And tongues out helping. Tongues out helping. And seam is there. Whew. I held my breath. Okay, tuck all them away. So I want the reds this side. Oh, that blue's already that side. Get rid of them. Get that to the corner. Put my little pins in. Okay, you get what I'm doing. Squishing. Okay, I'll keep doing that and you can keep watching. So I've pinned it all on, and here is my seam allowance that I did when I sewed on the frill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it facing down, and I'm going to sew and make sure that that seam allowance is actually the seam allowance side of the seam allowance. Makes sense. I'm starting from the center back, okay, which is approximately here, 1 centimeter. Those dogs are mental. Okay, back tacked it. So you either want to get, if it's on 1 centimeter, make sure you're going on the same stitch, because otherwise when you flip it you'll actually see the stitch of the frill. Alrighty. Okay, so I have sewn the frill into the facing, so it's all done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove that, okay, so you can get a full big picture of it, and see it sitting on the other side, even the end of it, because I went 1.5 centimeters. So this is, it either slides all the way out or it doesn't. So I can snip it near the back facing, which I will, back sorry, centre back. La, 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 la. And where's my little thread again? And now I can just hold it and that's out. And that's not all the way out. I forgot, it's still attached. So just break that off there. Pull out the red. Oh, this is the other red. It's on the inside. Now the inside one does not matter as much because it's hidden inside the facing. But I'm going to give it some help along the way. Okay, so that's gone. So over time, or probably the first wash, you can see the holes that it has made. That's the fabric. Okay. All right, the other red. Now if it's already trimmed at the centre back. Doing it. There we go. I've unleashed it. Okay, and the blue's gone. It's all out. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to snip in my corners. And then I am going to understitch. Okay, that is the next heroic thing that's meant to happen to it. And oh, it's the other one here. So I just put this a little bit. Today's Thursday. Today's mail day. We get mail. Not that I get mail much. Sometimes when I get mail, it's a treat for me. Right. I can't find the other part of that. There it is. I don't think that's going to go anymore. This is the wrong side to pull. The red was the right side. Okay, that's just a little bit of annoyance there because it's gathered itself. Where's my red? Got the red. I wonder if I can pull it. Only a little bit of red. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop recording so you don't have to put up with me doing this. And yeah, come on. Sorry, I started something because Victoria came in, so I wasn't going to record while she's in here. So now that I've sewn it all and I've got rid of all the other cottons out of there, my gathering threads, I'm going to thin out this. This is quite thick and it's going to sit as your collar. It's going to have that lovely big lump. Look at that, how thick that is. I don't know. Can you feel that? Anyway, so I'm thinning it out. I've got my point there. Come on, Stacey. Right. Okay, so I've got that done so that when it comes together, it's a nice crisp point. Don't go too close to the threads. You make a hole in it. And don't stick a blooming knitting needle down there. Okay, that will just make a hole in it. So I'll show you how I tend to turn my corners. And I do have gadgets. Okay, so I'm thinning it so that the side that hits the actual outside is the longest. Okay, and that makes it a smoother. So I put my fingernail on the where I want to turn it, and I turn it like that. Okay, and it sits like, and then I go like that, and okay, like that. Okay, and it makes it come out. Don't go sticking things down there. So what we're going to do is we're going to first trim off every curve. We're going to do a little like around the shoulders here. Okay, we're going to trim off the little wedges out, thin it out all the way around the neckline and down the front. And we are going to then do our understitching, which we will go all around the top, and then we'll start from the bottom up to the top. Alrighty, Vegemighties. Let's do this. I've just got to watch the time because we're leaving at 20 to 2. So that's why I want to get this done and get ready for the sleeves. Yes, obviously I haven't done it in one great big foul swoop like I did the Sydney dress. Let me know if it's better or worser. Okay? Okay. Understitching, we'll go from as, get rid of this mess. Oopsie daisy. Right, so as far as we can, I turn that inside out and I'm pulling this fabric over to the left. So I just give a little bit of a pull. This is the stitching we've got and we're doing that is going to keep the facing rolled under. So again, what's my saying? You manipulate the fabric, don't let the fabric manipulate you. So we've got nothing on this side. Okay, we've got the frill coming to this side, and then we've got all the underneath guts hanging out to the facing side. So we're going to go along the back first. I just keep my the foot in line with my seam there. Okay. I have a gauge. Actually, I use my gauge more on my cover stitch machine than I do on this one. I apparently have one coming that does the whole foldy thing, and it's really cool. But I might have just got ripped off. So we'll see if it shows up ever. And I am just doing the little tug every now and then, check that it's coming under. Now it should naturally fall to go under. Ooh. Okay, it should actually not fall, but it should go towards the facing, because at the end of the day there's more fabric on this side pushing out straight than there is that one fold of the facing folding back. Now I don't veer, I don't push, I'm just literally pulling the seam apart just so it can go and make sure it gets the tightest fold it's going to get when it comes to rolling under. Okay? Okie dokie. Right, let's do this. Oh, did you see what I'm doing, or are you looking at my breasts? Right, there you go. So like I said, sorry, I'm going to just do this. I think I had the camera looking at the girls. Right. Okay. So just a little, like a little pull out. So it's pulling it out the best way. It's a bit flat there. My little ruffle was flat in that little spot. C'est la vie. Again, if anyone can get close enough to check out my ruffle and tell me my ruffle's wrong, then good for them. I don't think Chris will say that. Plus, he's the only one who's going to get that close. Unless my mum inspects my clothing, which she does not, unless I show her something. Okay, right. Let's keep going. Our thread, go to bed. So my bobbin just ran out. So I'm going to start a new bobbin, but I've done the understitching for the collar. Okay, so it's going to sit with the frill. Am I too scared to try it on? If it don't fit, it don't fit, right? It's too bad. But I'm going to finish this, but I'm going to fill up a bobbin. I knew the bobbin was going to run out. It wasn't a full bobbin when I started. I was just being lazy to not go and get the 5th roll of this thread to it fell down a hole when I was getting it off the other cover stitch overlocking machine, and I didn't go get it. So I'm going to go get it now so I don't have to unthread anything because I can't be bothered, and I will be back. I will finish off the collar up the back neck into underlining, under stitching, and then I'll come back to you when it comes to doing up the sides, because it says to start from the bottom and go up. each side. Okay. And I am back. I have gone and done the, I think I've just read something and I said the words that they said. My daughter, to the appointment she had, I have understitched the frill. I'm now about to understitch the front from the bottom of the blouse up. Righty. I've got that all in there. Turn her on. And don't forget, make sure that the seam allowance is underneath the front facing, because that's where we want it to be hidden. I have put my bobbin in, because that's what I had to do. Remember, I filled up a bobbin. So on the way home, I popped in to see Mr. Christopher. He's working at a lovely location. Oh, this stuff so beautifully. So beautifully. Okay, so flip it there. My brother is at the Queenstown Aeroporto, and he is having a quiet one and waiting for his flight, which he lands at 5:45. You know what? I'm not even going to guess. I have no idea what time he takes off. 4 something. So he'll enjoy that. A nice cold crisp beer. I don't drink beer. I don't like it. I don't. And fold it in and try and get it up as far as I can. Look at that. It's right up there. So when I press it, see that stitch? It's gone right up to there. So I'll press it over and that should hide and stay in itself. Now also the other thing that's going to keep it in there, keep it locked and loaded down there, will be the buttonholes of the buttons. I don't know what side I'm doing. So there, and I wonder if I can add to this, because that's, just going to see if I can add to the, no, I cannot. So I'm going to go up. Now this is going to be the opposite side. Okay. And it's lucky that I only use the foot as my guide. Oh, just trying to get that thread out so it doesn't get unthreaded. Make sure it's rolling in. Now you see how it wants to flip that side. You know how I was saying up at the neckline it was easy because it was heavier. So this is heavier than this because it's interface, so it wants to stay straight. So this is quite important that you manipulate the fabric. Don't let the fabric manipulate you. Oh, I can feel it's twisted. I could feel the actual seam allowance under my hand. I'm coming up to the top. Let's see how deep in y'all I can get. Right, because we don't want to twist the top. Okay, and there's my little nobule. And that's far enough. All right. Now to go and press it, I have to turn the iron on because I've literally just walked in the door. Literally. Right, so that will go and fold down and be nice and smooth there. So that, what we've done so far is that. I need to, the other thing I like to do is I like to tack the facing, and I won't do it until I iron it, into the seams. And so what I do is I open up the seam in there and I'll put a stitch there, just inside that seam allowance, inside that stitch, so that it holds it down at the side seams. So I'm going to turn on the iron. I'm also going to probably go up and get myself something to nibble on because I haven't had lunch. And I will, yeah, look, that's actually just sort of taken itself to the fold, hasn't it? I think that looks good. Good. Right. Okay. Not sure it fits. I think I did a try on with this top on and it was a little bit tight. It wasn't tight, like I could do it up. I just, hopefully this is baggier on me than I thought it was and has made it not roomy at all for this top. Right then, I need to press it and I'm going to check the rules of engagement to see what's next. And I've got to leave in 45 minutes to get to my daughter to her hair appointment. And I don't think they're going to notice that I had my hair cut. I mean, it's so noticeable. I think it's noticeable because it's like really short down there. I had my hair cut and Chris had seen me twice. He went, oh, I thought something was different. No, yeah, I didn't. Anyway, so I'm going to press this and like I said, probably going to get some fruit or something. Victoria's cooking dinner tonight. We're having a gnocchi, which is gluten-free gnocchi. She made something when we were away up with Queenie and she said it really tasted good, so yay. Okay, so it's dark outside. Can you see? See that? It's black outside. Okay, so what's happened since I have been on here? I finished the understitching of the blouse on all of it, and I've pressed it down. Okay. Before you actually sew in your facing, you can put your label on there if you have a label, which I do, which I didn't. I have a habit of forgetting that. Anyway, so what I've come back on to say is I'll pick up again tomorrow, and tomorrow we're going to, now I did whip it on, I did give it a burl, and it is very big in the front. You know how when you do the full bust, it does that little wedge that sort of comes down and I did pull it in, so I will actually attack my fisheye dart a bit more in at the base of it because it's quite sticks straight out, so we need to shape that in again, and that's what you're going to have to do, which is an easy fix. That's what you have to do to get the girls tucked in there. So what else have I done? So I took my daughter to get her hair cut. And Mr. Christopher went to pick up my brother. And so we've had dinner. Yeah, it was a bit late for him to go anywhere tonight, so he's staying the night. And so I'm going to go now. And I will see you guys later. So stay well, stay warm, stay dry, keep cool, keep on sewing, hydrate, and have no regrets. Take care.